"You're just a kid." Tech billionaire laughs and mocks Maid's daughter until she makes him silent. The server room hummed with the sound of dying dreams. Red error messages flooded every monitor in a cascade of digital blood. At 11:47 p.m., the entire infrastructure of quantum dynamics, a $12 billion tech empire, was collapsing, and nobody knew why. Marcus Chen, the 38-year-old founder and CEO, stood at the center of the chaos, his $5,000 suit wrinkled from 18 hours of crisis management. Around him, his team of elite engineers, PhDs from MIT, Stanford, Carnegie Mellon, stared at screens with the hollow eyes of soldiers who'd lost a war. "Status?" Marcus barked. His lead engineer, Dr. Patricia Hoffman, didn't look up from her terminal. "We've tried everything. The bug is in the quantum encryption layer, but it's adaptive. Every time we patch one vulnerability, it opens 3 more. It's like fighting a hydra." "How long until total system failure?" 12 hours, maybe less. Marcus felt ice flood his veins. 12 hours until 400 million in client data became permanently inaccessible. 12 hours until lawsuits, bankruptcies, and the obliteration of everything he'd built from a college dorm room. "Get everyone back in here," he ordered. "I don't care if they're sleeping, eating, or attending their grandmother's funeral. I want solutions, not excuses." That's when he heard it. A soft voice from the doorway. "The problem isn't in the encryption layer." Every head turned. Standing in the entrance to the server room, clutching a mop and wearing a custodian's uniform 2 sizes too large, was a girl who looked maybe 16. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail. Her brown eyes, magnified slightly by wire-rimmed glasses, fixed on the main monitor with unsettling intensity. Marcus blinked. "Who the hell are you?" "Luna Reyes. I clean the offices on this floor." Her voice was quiet, but steady. "And your bug isn't in the encryption. It's in the memory allocation protocol for the quantum state verification module." Silence crashed through the room like a physical force. Then Marcus laughed. Not a polite chuckle, but a full, condescending belly laugh that echoed off the server racks. His engineers joined in, nervous relief finding outlet in mockery. "You're just a kid," Marcus said, wiping his eyes. "What are you, 15, 16? And you think you can solve what 20 of the world's best engineers can't?" Luna's expression didn't change. 17. And yes. Dr. Hoffman smirked. "Sweetheart, do you even know what quantum computing is?" Quantum computing leverages quantum mechanical phenomena like superposition and entanglement to perform calculations that would be impossible for classical computers, Luna recited calmly. "Your company's specialty is quantum cryptography, using lattice-based algorithms resistant to Shor's algorithm attacks. Your current crisis involves a recursive memory leak in the state verification subroutine that's causing cascade failures across your entire infrastructure." The laughter died. Marcus's jaw tightened. Lucky guess. Someone must have left documentation lying around. "It's not a guess," Luna said. "I've been watching your team struggle for the past 6 hours while I cleaned. You're all looking in the wrong place because you're assuming the bug originated in your new code. But it didn't. It's been dormant in your legacy system for 3 years, triggered only when memory usage exceeds 94.7% during simultaneous quantum state verifications." Patricia's fingers froze over her keyboard. Wait, how would you even... "Because I saw the same pattern in a different context." Luna stepped fully into the room, her mop bucket forgotten in the hallway. 6 months ago, I read about a similar cascade failure in a university research paper about quantum memory management. The solution involved implementing a dynamic buffer allocation protocol that— Enough! Marcus cut her off, his voice sharp. I don't know what game you're playing, but this is a billion-dollar crisis, not a classroom. Security, escort this child out of my building. 2 security guards appeared in the doorway, but Luna didn't move. Instead, she looked directly at Marcus with eyes that held something he couldn't quite name. Not anger, not fear, just a quiet, burning certainty that made him deeply uncomfortable. My mother has cleaned your offices for 7 years, Luna said softly. Rosa Reyes. She works double shifts so I can attend community college during the day. I study computer science because my father, Staff Sergeant Miguel Reyes, always said education was the one thing no one could take from you. She paused, her voice catching slightly. He died in Afghanistan when I was 8, a roadside bomb. Before he deployed, he taught me binary code as a game. Said numbers were a language anyone could learn, no matter where they came from or how much money they had. The room had gone completely still. So yes, Mr. Chen, I'm just a kid, just a maid's daughter who mops your floors and empties your trash while you build billion-dollar companies. Luna's voice remained steady, but her hands trembled slightly. But I'm also someone who's been studying quantum computing through online courses for 3 years. Someone who reads every research paper I can find because I can't afford Stanford, but I can afford a library card. She turned to leave, then stopped. In 12 hours, your company will cease to exist, but at least you'll have the satisfaction of knowing you put a child in her place. As the security guards moved to escort her out, Patricia suddenly stood. Wait! Marcus turned, surprised. Patricia was staring at her screen, her face pale. Marcus, she's right. Look at this. Patricia pulled up a diagnostic window. The memory allocation protocol. There is an anomaly here. It's been looping for— She scrolled through logs. My God, it's been looping for years. It's been using fractionally more memory with each quantum verification cycle, so slowly we never noticed. But now that we're running multiple simultaneous verifications for the new product launch, it hit the critical threshold. Luna finished quietly from the doorway. 94.7%. I can see it from here. The pattern is textbook exponential decay with recursive amplification. Marcus stared at her, then at his lead engineer, then back at the girl in the custodian uniform. Pride and desperation warred in his chest. Pride wanted to throw her out, to prove that 17 years of education and billions of dollars meant something. But desperation whispered a different truth. Drowning men don't get to choose their lifeguards. Let her speak, he said finally, each word costing him. Luna set down her mop and walked to the nearest terminal. An engineer started to object, but Patricia waved him silent. May I? Luna asked, hands hovering over the keyboard. Marcus nodded curtly. What happened next would become legend in Silicon Valley, discussed in hushed tones at conferences for years to come. Luna's fingers flew across the keyboard with the unconscious grace of a concert pianist. Code streamed across the screen, complex, elegant, impossibly sophisticated for someone her age. She navigated through layers of quantum algorithms with the confidence of someone who'd built them herself. Here, she said, pointing to a section of code. This is where the memory leak initiates. See the recursion depth? It's unbounded. Every verification cycle creates a new instance without properly garbage collecting the previous one. But we have automatic garbage collection, an engineer protested, not for quantum state objects allocated in the legacy buffer pool, Luna countered. When your company migrated from version 3.2 to 4.0 2 years ago, someone forgot to update the buffer management protocols for backward compatibility. The old objects are orphaned in memory, accumulating until critical mass, Patricia breathed. Jesus Christ, she's right. I can see it now. Luna's hands never stopped moving. The fix requires implementing a manual cleanup protocol for legacy allocations while simultaneously restructuring the verification subroutine to use the new memory management system. It'll take about, she paused, calculating, 47 minutes to implement and test. 47 minutes? Marcus repeated incredulously. We've been working on this for 18 hours. Luna looked up at him, and for the first time he saw not a child, but someone ancient and weary beyond her years. You've been working on it for 18 hours wrong, she said simply. Sometimes the answer isn't more expertise, it's a different perspective. Flashback, 9 years. Earlier, 8-year-old Luna sat cross-legged on the floor of their small apartment, watching her father pack his duffel bag for deployment. The living room smelled of her mother's cooking and fear. "Papi, why do you have to go?" she asked, tears threatening. Staff Sergeant Miguel Reyes knelt beside her, his camouflage uniform rustling. In his hands he held a small notebook filled with his handwriting. "Because some things are worth fighting for, mija. Freedom, justice, family." He pressed the notebook into her small hands. "But while I'm gone, I need you to do something important for me." "What? Learn?" He tapped the notebook. "I wrote down everything I know about computers, codes, and how technology works. The military taught me that information is power, but real power comes from using information to help people." "I'm only 8, she protested. "And I was only 8 when my father died in a factory accident," Miguel said gently. "We don't choose when life tests us, mija. We only choose how we respond." He pulled out a small circuit board from his pocket. "Look at this. Looks complicated, right?" She nodded. "But it's just patterns. Electricity flowing through paths, making decisions based on simple rules, yes or no, 1 or 0, true or false." He pointed to different components. "If you understand the pattern, you can fix almost anything. And life, Luna, life is just patterns too. The trick is learning to see them when everyone else is looking somewhere else." 3 months later, Rosa opened the door to find 2 uniformed officers on her doorstep. Their faces told her everything before they spoke a word. That night, Luna clutched her father's notebook and cried until she had no tears left. Then, with the stubbornness she'd inherited from him, she opened to the first page and began reading. Lesson 1. Binary, the language of everything. She spent the next 9 years teaching herself. Present. 43 minutes later, Luna pressed enter with a finality that seemed to reverberate through the server room. For 3 eternal seconds, nothing happened. Then, like flowers blooming after winter, the red error messages began disappearing, one by one, then in clusters, then in a cascading wave of green success indicators that flooded every monitor. The system stabilized. The crisis was over. Patricia ran diagnostic after diagnostic, her hands shaking. It's working. Memory usage dropping to sustainable levels. Quantum verifications running clean. Error rate down to 0.1%. She looked up, tears in her eyes. It's perfect. She fixed it. The room erupted. Engineers who moments ago had been laughing at her now stared in disbelief. Some applauded. Others simply gaped. But Marcus Chen stood frozen, watching Luna carefully close the terminal windows and step back from the keyboard as if she'd just finished her regular cleaning duties. "How?" he asked hoarsely. "How did you learn all this?" Luna picked up her forgotten mop from the corner. "Community college classes paid for by my mother's second job. Online courses from MIT's OpenCourseWare, research papers from arXiv, and my father's notebook." She turned to face him directly. "Mr. Chen, you built an amazing company, but you forgot something my father taught me. The people you don't see are often the ones seeing things you miss." Marcus felt something crack in his chest. The easy arrogance that had carried him through a decade of success suddenly felt like the thinnest veneer over his own forgotten origins. He'd grown up poor too, hadn't he? The son of immigrants who'd worked factory jobs so he could attend community college before transferring to Berkeley? When had he forgotten that? "Luna," he said, his voice strange in his own ears, "I owe you an apology. Several, actually, for laughing at you, for dismissing you, for not seeing what was right in front of me." She nodded, accepting but not absolving. "Thank you. I also owe you compensation. You just saved my company from bankruptcy. Name your price." Luna was quiet for a long moment. Then, "I don't want money, Mr. Chen. I want a job." "Done. You're hired. Whatever position you—" "Not for me," she interrupted softly. "For my mother. A real position, not just custodial work. Benefits, retirement, security. She spent years cleaning up after people who don't know her name. I want her to finish her career with dignity." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "Of course. And for you?" "An internship. A real one, not some PR gesture. I want to learn from your engineers. I want to work on actual projects. And when I finish my bachelor's degree," she lifted her chin slightly, "I want a fair interview for a permanent position. No guarantees, just a chance." "You saved my company, and you're asking for a chance?" Patricia interjected. "Luna, you should be asking for a senior position, stock options, your own team." "I'm 17, Luna said simply. "I need to earn those things. My father always said shortcuts corrupt character. I don't want success handed to me. I want to build it." In that moment, Marcus Chen, billionaire, tech genius, master of the universe, felt profoundly humbled by a teenage girl in a custodian's uniform. "Deal," he said, extending his hand. "But I'm adding one condition." Luna shook it cautiously. "What?" "Full scholarship to Stanford. 4 years, all expenses covered. You study during the day, intern here in the evenings and weekends. When you graduate, if you still want that fair interview," he smiled slightly, "you'll get it. But something tells me you won't need any favors by then." For the first time that night, Luna's composure cracked. Tears welled in her eyes. "I can't. My mother needs—" "Your mother will have a position as our new facilities services manager," Marcus interrupted gently. "Starting salary $95,000, full benefits, company car. She'll oversee all custodial operations with a focus on employee dignity and fair labor practices. I have a feeling she knows a lot about what workers need that I've been too busy to notice." Luna's tears spilled over. "Why are you doing this?" Marcus thought of his own parents, his father's calloused hands from factory work, his mother's endless night shifts, the scholarships that had saved his life. "Because someone did it for me once," he said quietly. and because I need more people around me who'll tell me when I'm looking in the wrong place." He glanced at his team of chastened engineers. We all do. 6 months later, the press conference room at Quantum Dynamics headquarters buzzed with journalists and cameras. Marcus Chen stood at the podium, but beside him, in a new suit that her mother had insisted on buying, stood Luna Reyes. "Ladies and gentlemen," Marcus began, "6 months ago, this company faced an existential crisis. We were saved by someone we'd overlooked, dismissed, and underestimated. Today, I'm proud to announce 3 major initiatives." He clicked to the first slide. The Reyes Scholarship Fund, $50 million endowment providing full college scholarships to children of working-class families pursuing STEM education. Applause rippled through the room. Second, Quantum Dynamics is establishing worker development pathways for all service staff, with tuition reimbursement and promotion opportunities based on merit, not credentials. More applause. And third, Marcus gestured to Luna, I'm pleased to introduce our new Junior Director of Quantum Systems Architecture, Luna Reyes, who will be joining us full-time after graduating summa cum laude from Stanford next year. The room erupted. A reporter raised her hand. "Miss Reyes, how does it feel to go from cleaning offices to running them?" Luna stepped to the microphone, poised despite her youth. "I never stopped being myself. I just finally got recognized for what I'd always been capable of. My message to young people, especially those from families like mine, your circumstances don't define your potential. Your work does." In the back of the room, Rosa Reyes watched her daughter address the press with quiet pride, tears streaming down her face. Beside her, though she couldn't see him, the ghost of Staff Sergeant Miguel Reyes smiled. That night, back in their apartment, nicer now, in a safer neighborhood but still modest, Luna found her father's old notebook. She opened to the last page, where he'd written one final lesson. "The world will tell you who you're supposed to be based on where you come from. But you get to decide who you become based on where you're willing to go. Never let someone else's blindness limit your vision, mija. You are capable of miracles." Papi. Luna pressed the notebook to her chest and whispered to the empty room, "I did it, Papi, just like you taught me." And somewhere in the spaces between memory and hope, a father's love echoed back, "I know, mija. I always knew." Dr. Luna Reyes, Ph.D. in quantum computing from Stanford, stood in her new office at Quantum Dynamics. At 23, she was the youngest chief technology officer in Silicon Valley history. On her wall hung 3 frames: her father's Medal of Honor, her mother's Employee of the Year plaque from her last year as Facility Services Manager before retirement, and Miguel Reyes's worn notebook, preserved in glass. But the most important addition was a new program she'd championed, the Invisible Genius Initiative, which actively recruited overlooked talent from custodial staff, food service workers, and other invisible roles in tech companies. Last month alone, they discovered a security guard with a revolutionary approach to blockchain encryption and a cafeteria worker who'd solved a 3-year-old optimization problem in her spare time. Turns out, Luna told Forbes in her profile, genius doesn't care about your job title. It just waits for someone to stop laughing long enough to listen. Marcus Chen, now her mentor and friend rather than her boss, framed that quote in his own office. Below it, he added a handwritten note. I almost missed the greatest mind I've ever worked with because I was too proud to see past a uniform. Never again. MC. And in cleaning closets and server rooms across Silicon Valley, people began to notice something changing. The invisible workers weren't quite as invisible anymore, because one teenage girl with a mop and a mind full of quantum algorithms had reminded the powerful of a truth they'd forgotten. Genius doesn't announce itself with credentials. It just solves the problem while everyone else is still laughing.